Now, let's talk about cybersecurity business and careers. Let's do this. No holds bar. We want your opinion, Peter.
Okay.
So, first, this is just between you and me. What's happening with F5? Why are they laying many talent? People like you.
Okay.
Knowing that cybersecurity is the thing for the past several years, and F5 is one of the leaders in application security. And
yeah,
I assume they're doing well, right?
I think so. I want to be very careful about, that, just to make sure that I don't cross any lines. So I want to, sort of respect NDAs and all that kind of stuff. My personal opinion, just simply based on a number of things. One was the number of longtime F5ers that were let go. It was kind of a bit telling, at least for me. There was a lot of, now I'm not saying it was all, because there's still some long timers left, and there were certainly some, folks that, were maybe 3 to 5 years, under 10 years, got laid off. But there was definitely a lot of individuals who were 10 years and more. I know of 22 years, 21 years. I was coming up on 19 years. There's a few others that were in the 15 to 16 year range. So it does seem like, F5 continues to sort of be in this transition to wanting to become a full SaaS company. And if you go back to 2018, so you might not know this, but in 2018, I was also let go from F5. I was laid off from F5 in 2018. Yeah, that was the first, one of the early first riffs there. I can't remember the number, but even then, it seemed to be a lot of long timers. Luckily for me, there was the guy who was the head of security marketing, Preston Hogue, who's now with Google. I think he's with Google Cloud now. I hope he's with. I'm pretty sure he is. So I got laid off on a Wednesday, and on Friday, Preston calls me and he's like, "This is bullshit. Do you want to come work for me?" And I was like, "Yeah, no problem. I'd love it." And so he saved me in 2018. And back then, if you look at some of the things that the executives were saying in 2018, what Francois said specifically was something along the lines of, we're moving on, or we're sort of it's this paraphrasing, so I'm not trying to say, we're just getting rid of, but he mentioned something about legacy. So there was a clear intent to move the company from where it was, and primarily hardware, into the cloud and software sales,
like Engine X, and then distributed cloud. Yeah,
all that. And we had been asking about cloud at the company back in 2012, 2013, 2014, but it was still a hardware company then, and they were doing really well. So just his words, Francois talked about legacy, and I was included in that group, legacy. So those, and again, it seemed like this last time too, it was a matter of, maybe there was a perception from executives that these long timers maybe represent that, bygone era of F5. We're moving into this direction, so we want to make sure that we have the right individuals in place for this, and not so much, the legacy folks who might have been, doing it a certain way for all these years, et cetera, et cetera. Now they're not, if you looked at the time that was happening, right? AWS was laying off like, 18,000 in November, and then like another 9,000, right? In, I don't know, February or March. Red Hat had a huge layoff. What is Alteryx? They laid off a bunch of people. So it's not as if, I think definitely there are a number of organizations due to the recession and due to hiring way too many people to work from home during COVID. They're all now like, oh no, we gotta cut. So I think it's just indicative of the industry, although I did notice that there were certainly a lot of long timers. And if you go back to the quote in 2018 about this was about, moving on from legacy, that kind of maybe has a little indication of what they're trying to do. Now, I will say it was a little, I want to be careful with my words again, but just this past week, there was these, photos and stories about F5 opening a new operation or opening a new building, office or something, and maybe hiring 200 people in India. So it's, it's kind of, no matter where you are, right? And whether it's this company or another company, it's always this kind of weird feeling where, like, holy crap, they just got rid of a whole bunch of people, but now they're like opening a new building somewhere. Like, you know what I mean? It's sort of like, what's going on now? Management may say, well, these are two different buckets, two different buckets within the organization. This is the headcount and salary bucket. And over here, we've been planning this new building for, the last, we've been building it for the last 8 months. We had intended, all along, well before we decided on these 600 people, that we were going to do this. So this, we're growing the business in this manner. And at the same time, we're trying to cut some costs in this other manner. And to us, just the individual contributors and the people impacted by those decisions, we're kind of sitting here like shrugging our shoulders, like what? I thought we had to cut costs, kind of thing. But they're two different kinds of buckets, I believe. And I mean, if you look at some of the ex-employee not job boards, the ex-employee like Slack channels. So I'm now on a number of various, ex-employee kind of channels. And while initially, people are confused and lost to some extent, most of them do say that after the first couple of months or, 6 months later, or they're in a new job, they're like, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. So, even the day I got my notice, I'm like, okay, fine. I'm going to embrace it and, start doing these videos.
Yeah. Continue the journey.
Yeah. And keep practicing. I was telling, another reason I just kept doing them every day. It was just to, kind of keep the practice going.